Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. So happy to be back at it at my 200th episode. Can't believe we're here today, boy. This is honestly, it's been an amazing journey. So extremely excited. Gosh, going back from like my first episode, just kind of see the growth of the channel from episode 1 to today. So huge shout out, number one, to all my patrons, each and every one of you. I appreciate you. I thank you, and then also shout out to everyone subscribed to the channel and watch me on a weekly basis. Thank you for all the love, all the support, all the commentary. I love it. So I appreciate each and every one of you out there. Thank you very much. So as I said, I actually got this recommendation for someone because, again, I go back and forth via email or Instagram or whatever platform it is. People ask questions all the time. So finally someone said, hey, Bourbon Judge, why don't you do a video answering or kind of replying to everyone in terms of all the questions you've had? So, hey, why not? I stole the idea, so I appreciate that person who gave it to me. So I'm going to go through, honestly, just, not every question, but like the top 15-ish questions I've got, kind of give you my responses to them and kind of go from there. And then at the end of the video, hold tight. I will also give you the details about the contest. We're going to have actually 3 different giveaways, so 3 different prizes, and but we'll dive into that at the end. Cool? All right. And along the way, I'm going to sip some bourbon. I'm actually going to go ahead and start off. I'm sipping right now. This is Nulu's Bourbon Finished in Honey Barrels. Grabbed this bad boy yesterday, and it is delicious. All right. Let's go ahead. First question. So I had to write these down because there was no way I was going to have all this embedded in the brain. Of all the liquor stores you've been to, Bourbon Judge, which one stands out as your favorite? So I'm going to give you like 3. I'm going to say in Kentucky, in Louisville, Westport Whiskey and Wine, I think is an amazing store. So that's number 1. Number 2, I'll go for also Total Wine in Louisville. I know a lot of local people in Louisville might say, well, Bourbon Judge, it's just Total Wine. Sure, maybe for you because you're in the bourbon mecca, but for many of us traveling in, and compared to our local Total Wines, like the Total Wine in Delaware, which in my opinion is compared to that versus Kentucky, you've reached heaven as it relates to bourbon. So Total Wine in Louisville is amazing. Again, comparing it to my Total Wine and other Total Wines I've been to. And then last but not least, I got to give props to my man Brock down in Sarasota, Florida. So Sarasota Liquor Locker, they have an amazing number of barrel picks. They typically have like 10 barrel picks at a time. That is fabulous. All right. Next question. Bourbon Judge, what's your favorite rye whiskey? So I have to go with my number 1. Of course, Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. And of course, recently I tried Old Forester Barrel Strength Rye. But when you think about just what's on the shelf, what's available, like truly that you can find, I would probably go with Sagamore. I've talked about Sagamore a lot. Sagamore ryes are affordable and they are just damn good. And I honestly have never had a bad Sagamore rye. So that says a lot for a $60 bottle that's easily available. Why not? All right, Bourbon Judge, I'm going to Louisville. In your opinion, what distillery should I visit? Very simple. Peerless, Bardstown, and Michter's. In my opinion only, Peerless, Bardstown Bourbon Company, and Michter's, they do it right as it relates to tours. They treat their customers well. The tours are very unique, very different, very cool, and it's just honestly a great overall experience. So Peerless, Bardstown Bourbon Company, and Michter's, those would definitely be my recommendation, hands down. All right. Is Mrs. Judge, or does Mrs. Judge drink bourbon? That is a big fat negative. But I will say two cool things, actually 3. Number 1, obviously I love her. But number 2, she says that bourbon smells and tastes the exact same no matter what it is. So she's not a big fan of bourbon, but she does fancy herself for a really good old-fashioned once in a while. So she will mess with an old-fashioned, but other than that, she's more of like either wine or a good margarita. She's a margarita girl, as she'll tell you. So that's Mrs. Judge. I keep trying though. All right. So Bourbon Judge, you talk about 1792 a lot. What is your favorite product of their entire line? Good question. So I do think 1792 makes a lot of great bourbons. Very affordable, easy on the shelf, easy to find. But I'm going to go with Bottled and Bond. I just think it's great. It's fantastic. And you know what you're getting each and every time. All right. Oh, man. Now, this one is a great question. This changed a little bit too. If you would ask me this question last year, I would have probably said the Old Forester Barrel Strength Rye, but I obviously was able to acquire that. What bottle, Bourbon Judge, can you just not find, even after hunting, after all your connections? What bottle just escapes you? Very simple. Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. No matter what I do, no matter what time, effort I put into it, I cannot find Birthday Bourbon. Now, granted, I've tried it before at bars, so I've had it before, but I cannot actually own a bottle of it. At least I wasn't able to own a bottle of it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. That bottle just seems to escape me. So, next question. Bourbon Judge, what's your current favorite bottle that you're drinking? I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to go with Heaven's Door Cask Strength. That's the single barrel store pick that I got recently, but Heaven's Door single barrel cask strength was very good. Nashville Barrel Company, that barrel strength bourbon that I did on the review, ridiculously good. But last but not least, this bad boy right here is absolutely the truth. Redwood Empire Haystack Needle, aged 12 years, bourbon finished in a Cabernet Sauvignon cask, barrel strength. Absolutely an amazing bottle. So much, I'm going to pour a nice deep pour because it's just that damn good. This bottle, really hard to find, but it's just so damn good, and I keep going back to it, and oh man, it's getting down there, unfortunately. All right, next question. Bourbon Judge, what have you learned since starting your YouTube channel? Honestly, a couple things. Number 1, you have to have extremely thick skin. Number 2, you will not please everyone. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, somebody's going to be pissed off. No matter what it is. So you just need to get past that. And last but not least, it's a lot of damn work. So huge shout out to all the other whiskey tubers out there. Honestly, knowing how much time and patience and effort it takes to put on the channel, it's a lot. So it is what it is. But again, honestly, huge thank you to my patrons who helped to support me, because it's a lot also financially as well. So it's a lot. That's what I'll say. It's a lot. All right. What's your best bourbon that you found randomly? Just random on the shelf. Easiest and the best story ever. Walk into a liquor store and I look behind the counter and I see Parker's Heritage, the heavy char, the bourbon, and the rye. I'm like, now this is at a store that I've been to before, and they always place everything at MSRP. So I look behind and I see the price tags, $125 each, which is roughly basically about MSRP. My heart, I'm just shaking. I'm like, holy shit. So I'm hoping that a manager doesn't come by and say, oh, that's for such and such customer or whatever it might be. I found them both at MSRP, pulled the trigger. The best find ever since my bourbon hunting, let's call it, adventures began. Absolutely an amazing story. So glad I got both those bottles and at MSRP. All right, so Bourbon Judge, what's your favorite budget bourbon that doesn't taste like a budget bourbon? Really good question. I don't know how you can even add these two. These two have to be on the list. So your favorite budget bourbon that doesn't taste like a budget bourbon. Old Forester 1910 and Early Times Bottled and Bond. Those two bottles are just, in my opinion, ridiculously underpriced. But that's a good thing. Let's just share that amongst us, right? Old Forester 1910, such a good product. And Early Times, oh my gosh, the Bottled and Bond. Whew. Amazing, amazing, amazing affordable whiskey. All right, here's a good one. Bourbon Judge, do you purchase bottles on the secondary market? So truth be told, oh man, I just spilled my whiskey. I'm not gonna let that go. Damn it. That's good whiskey to spill too. So do I purchase bottles in the secondary? I really don't purchase bottles in the secondary. I will trade to get a certain bottle, just because again I'm a smaller channel, so I don't have a lot that I'm able to easily obtain. But I do, in many cases, I will trade to try to get good bottles. So that's kind of my thing as it relates to secondary. All right, what's your best bourbon in your opinion? The best bourbon for his price. All right, so kind of like the last question, but different. I would say Cooper's Craft and Knob Creek 9-year. Cooper's Craft at $30 and the Knob Creek 9-year single barrel. Those are just amazing bottles, especially at their price. Probably even more the Cooper's Craft, because that is a fantastic bottle for $30. I mean, it's It's ridiculously good. It's just insane. Ooh, I like this one. All right. Bourbon Judge, what's your number one favorite non-Kentucky distillery? So, I got to keep it close to home. I'm going to go with Sagamore. It's an hour away from me. I love, honestly, the experience. I love the tours. I've done the tours numerous times. I even actually did a tour recently with some of my patrons. We had a blast. They treat people very well at Sagamore. So, that by itself, I'm going to stick with Sagamore. But I will say, I haven't been to like a Woodinville or an Old Elk. My goal this year is actually to get out to Old Elk and Woodinville, so maybe that'll change next year. But for now, I'm sticking with Sagamore. All right, let me go ahead and cheers real quick. Cheers to everyone out there. Peace, cheers, salute. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all. Can't believe I just spilled some of that. Oh, man. What's one of your most disappointing bottles that you had? There's two. Rare Perfection. Shh. That was an anniversary gift from Mrs. Judge. But honestly, she spent way too much money on that bottle. That was... And the second one, this one grew on me over time, but it just wasn't worth the price point, in my opinion, again. Cream of Kentucky. I thought Jim Rutledge, Four Roses, previous Four Roses master distiller, just expert. I just thought that bottle was going to be just like heaven in a bottle. And honestly, it was just so-so. It was good, but it wasn't $130 good, which is what I paid for it. It probably should have been more like a $75, $80 bottle. Again, got better over time, but in my opinion, still $75, $80 max. Just my opinion only. Oh man, a great question here. Is Cousin Anita really your cousin, and have you guys been tight for a long time? And what type of bourbons does Cousin Anita like? So Cousin Anita is definitely my cousin. We've been, gosh, super close since we were babies. Actually, she's gonna kill me here. I'm gonna find a picture back when Cousin Anita and I were in our teenage years, and she had, let's just call it, her Love Boat outfit on. But no, her and I, we've been super close. She's honestly like my sister in many ways. And when it comes to bourbon, that girl loves herself anything Four Roses related. If it has the Four Roses label, she loves it. But if not, honestly, truly, any other good bottle of bourbon that's open, she will definitely like it. Trust me. As long as it's not barrel proof. Barrel proof or even higher proof. Anything above like 115, 120, she doesn't get down with that. But anything less than that, she's good with anything less than like 115. Oh man, you guys are trying to get me with this one, boy. You can only pick one barrel proof bourbon. Which one is it and why? There's a lot of great barrel proof bourbons out there. You have to think about price, availability. There's so much. But if I'm only going to pick one, and I'm only saying this because it's easier for me to find, luckily, here on the East Coast. Maybe not for everyone else out there, so to be clear. But for me, I'm going to go with Stag Junior. Or now, I guess just Stag, because they dropped the Junior. I think Stag Junior is one of the best barrel proof bourbons out there. Don't get me wrong, I know there's a ton of other ones out there. You have like your Elijah Craigs, you have your Wild Turkeys, like a rare breed. But for me and me only, I'm going with Stag Junior. There's just something about it. It's bourbon in a bottle. When you think of real, true, straight, just damn good bourbon, that's Stag Junior for uncut, unfiltered. I'm sticking with that all day long. All right. How often do you go bourbon hunting? So, truth be told, technically I probably bourbon hunt 4 to 5 times a week. So 4 to 5 days out of the 7 days a week. But when you think about that, if you break it down, it's not like I'm spending hours and hours each day. It might be like, for example, tonight, Mrs. Judge says, hey, honey, go grab gas in my car. I'll go grab gas in her car. Not my fault that there's a liquor store next door. Or she might say, hey, run out to the dry cleaners to pick up, whatever, our dry cleaning. Again, not my fault that there's a liquor store two blocks down. Hey, not my fault. I happen to find liquor stores wherever I go, no matter whatever reason it is. But when you think about like just straight up true, real bourbon hunting for like a couple hours at a time, that's probably 1 to 2 days a week. Typically Saturdays and Sundays. I will make a little time Saturdays and Sundays to make sure I get my bourbon hunting in, like my real bourbon hunting, if you will. Oh man. All right, a really good one. Bourbon Judge, do you watch other whiskey tube channels? Of course, come on. I mean, that's honestly how I even started in this game. I mean, there's so many other great channels out there. Jason from Master Drum, my buddy Scott from My Bourbon Journey, Adriana, Whiskey Mountains, Black Bourbon Family, Jason and Brent. I mean, there's so many other, Black Bourbon Family, I should say. So many other great channels out there, good people. Honestly, this whole business is all about just becoming good friends with people, partnering with them, collaborating. I respect everything that they do. We all have our own little, let's call it a little niche in terms of like what we do in our own way. So I love watching other, let's call it my peers. I really do. All great people. All right. Couple more. Bourbon Judge, what's your fantastic budget-friendly rye? I think many people would knock me out if I did not say this one. But it is one that I do agree with as well. Hands down, you got to go with Pikesville. I think Pikesville is just a fantastic rye. Number one at the price point, which is this question. But I also think a lot of people are looking to cross over from only drinking bourbon to entering into the rye world. And I think because of the mash bill, Pikesville is a fantastic, let's call it transitional rye. Absolutely amazing, day in, day out. And you can find it pretty much almost, not every liquor store, but every couple liquor stores. Pretty easy. Oh man, 3 down, and then we're gonna get to the contest. Bourbon Judge, in your opinion, what's the most overhyped bourbon out there? Oh, come on. That's an easy one. Just think about it. Take 5 seconds while I enjoy this. The most overhyped bourbon out there. Blanton's. 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 I had to say that 3 times. Blanton's. It's so overhyped. There are so many other great bourbons on the market for $30, $40, even $50 compared to Blanton's that if you find it, A, if you find it, it's simply marked up like a couple hundred. B, it's just not worth it. Now, I will say, if you find this version, Blanton's straight from the barrel, sure, we're in a different ballpark. It's worth the MSRP at $150 and it's absolutely amazing. But the regular Blanton's 93 proof, stop it. Unless you really want the horse that bad, you want the little BLA all the way to the S, sure. But it's just not worth it. It's so overhyped. But hey, again, Buffalo Trace in their marketing, fantastic job. 2 to go. What's your favorite and least favorite BTAC product? Oh man! All right, this one might get me in trouble with Buffalo Trace, but you guys know me. I always keep it real, no matter what. My favorite Buffalo Trace product, hands down, from the BTAC perspective, easily William LaRue Weller. Can't go wrong with William LaRue Weller. Absolutely amazing bottle. But for me, the one that I honestly don't even think it belongs, honestly, in the BTAC category. Just personally, right? Don't get upset. Just keep it real. Eagle Rare 17. I've had it numerous times. I'm like, nope, no. So much that one of my deli connects, one of my store connections, she reached out and she was like, hey, I got them all. Which one do you want? I'm like, let's just stick with William LaRue Weller, because she's like, why not Eagle Rare 17? It just doesn't impress me. It's okay, but it's just okay. I don't know. That's just me. It's just me. Oh man. Last question, then we're gonna get to the contest. Bourbon Judge, now that you hit 200 episodes, what's your goal for the channel and like upcoming episodes? Very simple. My goal is a couple of things. Number one, keep producing fantastic quality videos. Number two, do more live stream solo, live stream with like collaborations, like partnering with other whiskey tubers. Also focusing on growing like merchandise. Look for an upcoming mention regarding merchandise very soon. And last but not least, supporting my patrons, doing a lot of things with my patrons, such as either like barrel picks, having them actually help me pick some barrels, as well as just really focusing on different videos for my patrons as well. That's my growth for this year. It's all about just growth across the board. Those are the top questions I got. So now it's time to talk about the contest. All right. So here's how the contest works. So there will be 3 prizes. First and second, so 2 different prizes will be 2 sets of Bourbon Judge glasses. So 2 sets of Bourbon Judge glasses. So that means 2 different winners. There we go. The last one will be a blind flight, or let's call it a secret blind flight from the Bourbon Judge. I'm going to pick several of my favorite bourbons and ryes, so several of my favorite whiskeys, and I will include those in the flight. So, how do you actually enter for it? So in today's video, drop a comment, and you have to list just one of my top #1 whiskeys from 2021. It could be the #1 whiskey from my regular top 21, the #1 rye, or the #1 premium whiskey. Remember, I did 3 different videos of my top 10, let's call it top 10 whiskeys for 2021. Pick any #1, just the #1 item. It could be any one. You don't have to list all 3, and just drop it in a comment here. I will take everyone who got all the right answers correct, and I'll, of course, on the next Thursday's video, I will share who won the 3 prizes. The contest, by the way, it ends, so all comments have to be in the system by this Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's it. Hey, as always, thank you for rock and rolling with the Bourbon Judge. Peace, cheers, salute, much love to you. Peace out. See ya.